In more important news, however, we appear to have peace in the Middle East, at least peace in Gaza right now. I want to start with this post from Donald Trump. So he says, quote, "I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations in the United States of America, and we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers." Obviously quoting from Matthew 5, Sermon on the Mount there, blessed are the peacemakers. Everyone in politics could use a good reminder of Matthew 5 just about every day, actually. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu posted as well. He said, "With the approval of the first phase of the plan," and I'm just going to stop there in the first sentence because notice that language echoing Trump's language. So they're obviously both using this first phase language, which is important because there was a deal that Donald Trump memorably was able to negotiate before he came into office in January, right on the cusp of coming into office in January. It was a really remarkable feat getting everybody to agree. That deal, of course, ended up falling apart as the phases went on. And so that first phase language, obviously no peace deal this complicated is going to be immediate, flip a switch, night and day. But the first phase language, I think, should give all of us pause. Netanyahu goes on to say, "All of our hostages will be brought home. This is a diplomatic success and a national and moral victory for the state of Israel. From the beginning, I made it clear we will not rest until all our hostages return and all our goals are achieved. Through steadfast resolve, powerful military action, and the great efforts of our great friend and ally, President Trump, we have reached this critical turning point. I thank President Trump for his leadership, his partnership, and his unwavering commitment to the safety of Israel and the freedom of our hostages." Now, the Nobel Peace Prize talk is already mounting once again, as you will not be surprised to learn. Eric Trump just posted about a half an hour ago, retweet this if you believe that Donald Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. I saw Meghan McCain also making calls for a Nobel Peace Prize as well. Some of those calls were echo calls that were made in January and have been made after the Abraham Accords. For example, Netanyahu, in his nomination for Donald Trump to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, actually mentioned the Abraham Accords, and that's probably for a strategic reason. I know a little bit too much about the Nobel Peace Prize right now because I've been working on Story for Unheard about it, but basically the Nobel Peace Prize nominations are due February 1st, and it's technically supposed to be for the prior year, although that's not always the case. Sometimes it's invoked that something happened within the prior year, and that's why a particular candidate is especially supposed to be worthy. But sneaking it in before the deadline could help. I don't know, probably unlikely that Trump gets a Nobel Peace Prize, but in this case, there's no downplaying the significance of what Trump was able to achieve. And I want to, before we toss to Rod, explain a little bit why, using reporting from obviously the left-leaning website DropSite, and of course you know that from Ryan Grimm and Jeremy Scahill. But this reporting is really important, and it gets to actually, I think, the achievement that Donald Trump seems to have within his grasp here. So reading from DropSite's report, quote, "Multiple sources from Hamas and other Palestinian factions have told DropSite that their central concern in these negotiations was that handing over all Israeli captives would remove nearly all of their leverage if it did not include a complete Israeli withdrawal. Israel has, as a matter of policy, systematically violated its ceasefire agreements with Hamas and also with Lebanon," DropSite says. "In entering into these negotiations, Hamas negotiators accepted they were engaging in a high-stakes gamble." Here's the important part. The source close to the negotiators told DropSite, quote, "Trusting Trump's word is the gamble they are taking. If it works, they will be considered geniuses. If it fails, they will be considered fools. It's as simple as that." So a senior Hamas official also told DropSite the Palestinian negotiators have faced unprecedented pressure from Arab and Islamic mediators over the past 48 hours to make significant concessions and to quickly reach an agreement on the aspects of Trump's plan that address the exchange of captives, a ceasefire, and the resumption of aid. Those last two bits in particular, sources say that it was Trump who has given his word, because if you remember in this peace plan, Trump says he will be at the head of the board. If you remember the specifics in this 20-point peace plan that Trump and Netanyahu announced at the White House last week, that was actually one of the key, I remember in the White House reading it as it came out before they were coming to the podium. And that was a fascinating point of this 20-point peace plan, because that was, as Dropsite's reporting has suggested just over the last week as well, important for the Palestinian side, because they wanted Donald Trump to sort of personally guarantee that he was going to push for peace. They obviously feel that Donald Trump wants to have this as his legacy. And so from that side, what they're saying is Trump is going to put, if Trump puts his reputation on the line here, it gives us more trust. Now, I don't think they have, they're under any illusion that Donald Trump is in any way whatsoever on their side during any of this. But what they do believe is that Donald Trump wants peace to be a part of his legacy. He's been called peacemaker in chief repeatedly over the course of his presidency by his own staffers. That's clearly deliberate. He touts having pulled off 7 peace deals and ceasefires over the course of his presidency. He talked about that at the United Nations. He said, I think this was back in the summer, if his name were Obama, he would get the Nobel Peace Prize for the Abraham Accords, something to that effect. But you see how important it is in his historic legacy. And that also speaks to Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff being in Egypt, it looks like Egypt today, before this deal was reached. That gets to the point Dropsite emphasizes here about how the Palestinian negotiators say they have, quote, faced unprecedented pressure from Arab and Islamic mediators. This once again brings us to something that really only Donald Trump finds himself in a position to pull off, which is bringing together the Arabic world to put this pressure on Hamas and negotiators in Palestine. That is something you cannot imagine another Republican president being sort of, I was going to use the word flexible enough, and maybe that is the right word, politically flexible. I don't think ideologically flexible is the right word, but just that is a very, very difficult thing for any president, Republican or Democrat, to pull off. But because Trump doesn't care about the political norms in the way other politicians have, he literally sent his son-in-law, who is not a formal part of the administration, and who, of course, I and many other people have concerns about conflicts of interests. Same thing with Steve Witkoff, by the way. So Trump plucks his friend, longtime friend from the New York real estate business world, and his son-in-law, and they're operating behind the scenes in a way that gets many of these allied countries to pressure Hamas to accept this deal. Again, this is not something that you can imagine virtually any other politician pulling off. So if it holds, it is a singular Trumpian accomplishment, if it holds. I'm probably less optimistic than other people about to what extent this will hold. That 20-point peace plan, which seems to have been the framework that was agreed to this evening, is fraught. There are all kinds of ways it can go wrong and hostilities can resume again. But I am hoping and praying right now that this sticks, because this has been for everyone. I mean, it has just been an unbelievable tragedy. So, hey, if Trump can do it, every person, if Trump can achieve a just and lasting peace in this case, every person should be shelving their biases and, I think, reckoning with the reasons that Trump himself was able to do this. Again, that's if it holds and if it sticks. Recently, I learned about colostrum. Have you learned about it? It is the very first milk known as liquid gold. If you listen to the show a lot, you probably thought I was going to say that in a Trump voice, because I did it that way the first time and now I feel trapped. So I pivoted there. But it's known as liquid gold that babies receive from their mothers after birth, packed with proteins, natural growth factors, antimicrobial peptides that work to enhance your immune response, reduce inflammation, repair, and balance gut lining, reduce bloating, and make your hair and skin look amazing. Today's sponsor, Cowboy Colostrum, offers the highest quality cow colostrum available in the U.S., 100% made in America from 100% American grass-fed cows. Don't you love that? They don't overprocess or strip their colostrum, leaving it whole, full fat, and high protein for ultimate nutrient density. It's the highest quality bovine colostrum you can buy. Highest quality bovine you can buy. Cowboy is easy to drink. It's great, made with natural, delicious ingredients and no artificial flavors. Simply add a 3-gram scoop of either their chocolate, Madagascar vanilla, or strawberry into your coffee or smoothie. Personally, I love the strawberry, and I love it with milk. So for a limited time, our listeners get up to 25% off their entire order. Just head to cowboycolostrum.com/afterparty and use code afterparty at checkout. That's 25% off when you use code afterparty at cowboycolostrum.com/afterparty. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. So please support our show and tell them our show sent you.